All right, welcome back to Soul Good Podcast. My name is Max, and if you're new here, this episode is going to be a little bit different than the rest of them because we're talking about my hair. Yes, get over it. I look different. You over it? All right, cool. Let's talk about it. So, first off, I want to thank everybody for, holy cow, the immense amount of support I've got from like people messaging me, text messages, everything. There's been like so many people just super supportive of this, first off. So thank you. It's kind of cool talking about this because I'm an open book. I don't really care. I don't have anything to like hide really. So I like to talk about it. It's fun for me to talk about it. And apparently I've taught a lot of other people stuff by talking about it. So that also feels rewarding, which is why I'm making episode 2. This is the post-operation episode because obviously had it done and I might look bald on camera right now, but there's like a little bit of hair. I basically have like a military cut right now. And so I'm just going to use this episode to kind of go over everything that went down post-operation. And then there's also some questions you guys asked me on Instagram. So I have those written down. I'm going to answer those questions. And then right here, I also have this packet. They gave me a packet as I walked out. It has a lot of great information on it that I think answers a lot of people's questions with this surgery. And the surgery, first off, is called the FUE surgery. Might not even be called surgery, but it's called the FUE procedure, to put it nice. I feel like surgery sounds like a scary word. I kind of use it to scare myself. I think I use it to scare myself to make this feel better. But yeah, let's dive right in. Let's talk about it. So, if you guys saw the last episode, you know I was very nervous. I was like, holy cow, this is going to hurt because I avoid the doctor. I don't know if anyone else is like this, but like if I get like hurt where I probably should go to the doctor, I avoid it for sure. Like I'll bruise my knee and like have the worst swelling and be like, for sure I'm going home. I'm not going to the doctor. So with that said, this was the first time I had like a quote unquote surgery done since I was like 1. I think I had like a nevus sebaceous or whatever that's called on my head when I was like 1. So I haven't had anything like this since. So very nerve wracking. When I first walked in there, they knew I was anxious because I told them I was anxious, and they, on top of me being anxious, they have to give you a Xanax pill. And so they gave me Xanax and that calmed me down a little bit. But when I was laying down, I was like shaking because like there's like the little bed, there's like their little chair / bed thing they lay you on, and oh man, I was shaking. Like I was shaking pretty bad, and so I was like, I probably need more. So they gave me another half a dose, that calmed me down, and then that's supposed to kind of like help time pass, I guess. And then they also had to numb me down. Now, before I say that, they also had to obviously shave my head because what they do is they use what's called the donor hairs to put in the spot that you need hair. And I will show you guys my head in the middle of this episode or some point in this episode. I'll literally show you all angles of it so you can see it. But I'm going to tell you about it first. So they have an area called the donor area, which is where your good hairs are that they take and they put on the top of your hair. I'm going to tell you how they do that in this episode too, because you're probably right now thinking, wait, how do they do that? And it was a very interesting process. They told me about it and I've seen videos about it, but it was just so like real. It sounds stupid saying this, but it was so real being there. So basically the back of my head had the like donor area, and I think a little bit like on the side they used for like the donor area. And they had some good hairs there. And so that was the first part of the procedure. Some lady walked in, gave me the Xanax, and then they shaved my head while that was going down. And then they took, the first part of the procedure was taking out the hairs. So what they had to do in order to do that is numb me down, because they're not just going to go right in and do that. Because, oh boy, would that hurt. Oh, that would hurt so bad. So they numb me down, and this was the hardest part. If you're getting this done, you're thinking about it straight up. I've been in situations where I've had to get like needles put in me because I got like infections from metal and stuff like that, and I've almost passed out. That's how afraid I am of needles. And this, for some reason, ended up being like a walk in the park compared to that, because I mean, it hurt. The injections hurt because they had this little needle, and then it was like, if you've ever had the PRP done, which I can't remember if I think I talked about this in the last episode, but like every couple months I get this thing done with the blood, and then they put it in the machine and with your blood and then this plasma, and then they stir it up and they put it in your head. So similar thing as that is how that felt, but they took this needle and I think they did like 40 injections or 45. I don't know. It was a big amount of injections, but once they hit like injection like number 17 or 18, it like numbed up like half my head, and the lady was like, she's like, "Hey man, it's gonna feel like you're wearing a helmet." And I was like, "Okay, interesting," because I couldn't remember the last time I wore a helmet. So they did that, and after like half my head was numb, they did more injections, and I didn't feel like the rest of them for some reason. It just like started to numb my head so much. And then once they did that, she took a little needle and started poking on my head. She's like, "Tell me when you can feel this." And as soon as I felt her needle, I was like, "Yo, injection." And she got out some like heavier injection and like injected it in that area. And then she poked around, and she's like, "Tell me when you can feel this." And so I laid there while she was poking like literally everywhere in my dang head. And I was like, "Did you do it?" I genuinely like didn't even make this up. I genuinely was like, "Did you do that yet?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, we already did that." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't feel anything." She's like, "Cool." So then this was like, I can feel my heart picking up because I'm like, I know what's coming next. They're going to go for the donor hairs. So the lady's like, when they do this, it can sound like they're like chopping celery. And I was like, why did you have to say that? And now I'm telling you this, and now it's going to be in your head. But it was in my head the entire time they were doing it, because all I could think about was like celery. And I'm like, what does that even sound like? I can't remember the last time I heard celery being chopped. And I was just thinking about the entire time. But this is one little thing I'm going to say before I get into that is there was all these like videos and stuff of them talking about like people being like, "Oh yeah, you can go on your iPad and you can do whatever you want. You can get some work done." I like even brought my laptop thinking I could edit. Yeah, I couldn't get anything done. They had a TV there. So I watched like episodes of podcasts. I watched like H3, listened to some music, stuff like that. I didn't actually get a chance to like be able to move my arms and like move around. So if you're thinking you can do that stuff while they're doing this, you can't. Forget it. Just think about watching a TV or queuing up get some good videos or movies queued up, because that's what you do. So that's what I was doing while they were doing it, because the first part of it, she said, "All right, now we need you to like lay down with your face like down and on your back." And I don't like not seeing stuff, obviously, because I feel like I'm probably not in control of it, or I don't feel like I'm like aware, I guess. Aware is probably the better term. So I was like, oh God. And I'm going to say something right now. I'm getting detailed because I feel like this is the stuff that people want to hear. I could tell a Reader's Digest version of this and be like, "Yep, they did this and they did this and they did this," and beat around it, but I'm not gonna, because I feel like this is the stuff people want to know. So I'm like laying there, and I literally had my face down. I think I had Beatles on in the background, and they just were like doing the thing, and like I kind of had my eyes closed. I could feel myself like shaking a little bit on the inside, and I was like, and then I calmed down. I think the extra half of the Xanax pill they gave me kicked in at that point. I didn't feel anything. They were just doing it. And she's like, "All right, now I need you to go to your side." And I think that was when they took like the donor area on this or whatever side. I think it might have been this side a little bit in the back. And they started doing that. And it's crazy because they're literally taking good hairs out of you. But they, like, as soon as you take a hair out, it dies. But they have this little cup, these two little red cups of like, I don't know what chemical it is, but it keeps your hair alive. And so they put all your little good hairs in there. It's like, I think I did a total of like 1,200 grafts, I think is the number. And people on average do between like 1,200 to like 2,000, I think, or 2,500. It's like in that range. The price goes up the more you do. So I think mine was the least expensive one. Still very expensive, which I'll get into that in a little bit. That's one of the questions, so I'll get into that. But yeah, so they took out like probably 1,200 hairs so they could put in 1,200 new ones. And this is one thing I forgot to mention too. After they gave me the medication, a guy came up to me and he drew that new hairline. So I don't know if you can see right here, like my hairline's better than it has been before. but they drew like a new hairline like right here, and then they drew a new hairline right here, and then they like drew a little line right up here because the hairline was getting bad right up top. So they drew me a new hairline. They showed me it and like, you like this? And I was like, at first he drew one that was like quite still a bit back, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if I like this. And he redid it, and then he showed me this, and I was like, oh, this looks normal. And then he was like, okay, we can still do that with 1,200 grafts. And I was like, oh, thank God. Once they drew the line, they just basically took out those hairs. And the next part of this, once they took out the hairs, was to inject the hairs. Now, this is where it gets tricky because they can't just put the hairs in your head, right? They got to go somewhere. So they have to drill these little holes in your head. And I couldn't actually see how they did it. My head was like down, and then I was on my side for part of this, I think. Or I was sitting at some weird angle while they did this, I think. If I'm not mistaken, because they had this little like cover because they used the world's brightest light ever above me, and like your eyes aren't supposed to be able to see that. So they had this little cover over my eyes so that I didn't see it. But the guy said it's like a machine that has like a little drill on it that's over me, and it just went like and drilled these like little tiny holes in my head. And again, I didn't feel this. I'm still blown away. Like, I've been waking up. I got this done on the 4 days ago now. I've been waking up thinking like, how did I not feel a freaking machine drilling into my head? I still to this minute have no idea how big the machine was. I don't know what they did, but it drilled these little holes in my head, and I think it took them like a couple hours. I think like the first part that I mentioned of them like taking out the good hairs, I think that took like maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And the machine I think took like 45 minutes. No, maybe it took like an hour, 2 hours. I don't know. And then after they took the hairs out, I think I like there's a lunch. So I think I ate they gave me like Jimmy John's. I had a little lunch, chilled out a little bit. And then it was like time for the next part. So then I think they had to numb me again because you chilled out and the numbing wears off after like 4 hours. So they numbed me up, and then they started, I think the implanting part took the longest because they implant these hairs like by hand. And I think there's 2 people working on me at once. I think this took like 3 or 4 hours because the whole thing all in all was 8.5 hours of like work for them. So all day long you're there, and the holes that were there, they're little micro, I don't know what they use to see the holes, but they take and they inject each hair into the spots in it. So if you look at the top of my head right now, you can probably see like tiny, I'll try to go a little bit closer so you can see. And when I go closer here, if it's not, I'm going to say something right now, it's not very gross. It's just like kind of like dried up, kind of like a little scabby looking. But if for some reason this grosses you out, just from this point on, fast forward about like 10 seconds. So here's the top of my head for those of you that want to see this. All right, so you can probably see that. So all those little dots, that's where they went in and put in the new hairs. And oh man, like I did not feel that either. It was crazy. It was so crazy. But I sat there watching a podcast for the rest of it. I was watching H3 podcast. And that was fun. It was a lot of fun just watching my favorite episodes and not feeling that. It was kind of cool. But I'm trying to think if there was something else that I should be saying about that. No, it was just really, I think there was a part that I was on my side a little bit for that, and they covered up the light again, and they did it. But yeah, dude, painless procedure, completely painless. I'm still shocked over this. It's wild to me that was painless because it seems like it would hurt. So if you're thinking about doing this, I would recommend doing this. Just because there's like, it's so painless and it's so like worth the time you're there. And I have to think, like, I hate when people say this. I don't know why I hate when people say this. I mean, it's the right thing to do, but like, seriously, like, thank you to the people at Restore who did this, because that's where I went. As Oakbrook Restore, they did a very good job. They were very patient with me. They were very understanding of who I am and everything like that. Like, sometimes you'll go to a doctor and they don't really give a shit about you. You know what I mean? They're just there to do the job, and you're like, But no, these people actually cared about me, and it was a really easygoing thing. But oh man, does this thing cost a lot? And I think that was a question that people are asking. So, with that said, let's get into the questions here. And also, I have an update for you guys about something that recently happened that I'm going to talk about in this episode that's important. So, hang on for that too as well. But let's dive into some of these questions. All right. So, question number 1. Okay. Did you wear your lucky underwear during the procedure? What's the funniest thing that happened right before getting surgery? Honestly, I think the funniest thing was just me telling the people there. I was like, what did I say? I said something about my anxiety. I was like, I said to the lady, I was like, I didn't know my anxiety was this bad until I got here. And like, I thought they were going to laugh because it made me laugh saying that. And like, they're like, oh, it's okay. Like, we'll get you some more Xanax. But, yeah, that was kind of funny. That was probably the funniest thing. What did you eat the night before? I'm glad you asked this. Were you awake the entire time? Also glad you asked this. Yes, I was awake the entire time. I think the lady told me, they said I could sleep. They said you can sleep during this, but the lady said I fell asleep for like 20 minutes of it at one point. But I was like too hyper aware, so I was just like awake. Let's see. What did you eat the night before? I ate a dinner the night before, and the morning of I ate like eggs and bacon because they said to eat like a decent breakfast before it. So I did that. But like 3 days before it, you cannot drink caffeine. I think you guys know that from the last episode. So I couldn't have coffee, so I was like freaking out because I didn't have coffee. I freaking love coffee if you know me. The next question, what was the procedure? It was the FUE procedure, which I feel like I should know what that stands for, but that's what it's called. So if you're interested, look up FUE procedure. Next question. Again, were you awake for the procedure? Yes. How much did it cost and who did you go to? So I answered that already. I went to Restore, and the amount that it costs is $10,000. I mean, it's a lot, yes. I understand that I'm in a position that I'm able to do that, and that not everybody is. Not everyone has that kind of like money to put aside to get something like this done. I understand that. And so if it's something you want to do, it's something worth putting money aside, saving it up, and doing what you can if it's something you're interested in. Because, hey, it costs a lot. Now, that said, they called me in January. It was like March or May or something. They said, hey, if you sign up right now, we'll knock off like $2,000 or something. So they knocked off like $2,000. But I think like with taxes and everything like that, and like the whatever the additional costs are, it adds on like another $1,000. So you're all in all technically all in all saved like maybe $1,000 on this, maybe $1,500 or something like that because of the after. So I mean, yeah, I'd saved a couple thousand from the deal, but like you get what I'm trying to say, right? So that's how much it costs. That's about the average cost of it to get anywhere. Let's see. How much did it cost? Yep. That's how much it costs. Let's see. How difficult was it to get signed up, and is it expensive? It was not difficult to get signed up. They had been asking me about this while I was getting PRP done. I think signing up for the initial thing for PRP and all that was the hardest, just because it was very like confusing because I was signing up for something that I knew I had to get done, or I shouldn't say I knew I had to, I knew I wanted to get done. And I was like, is this the right thing? Am I doing this because I was asking myself a million questions. I'm like, do I feel insecure? Is that why I'm doing this? And I was like, no. And then I was saying, am I doing this to please other people? And then I was like, no, I'm doing this for myself. So it was a lot of like asking myself these questions. And then I was like, yeah. So signing up for the initial thing after asking myself all those questions was hard. Because I was like, yeah, I'm doing this for myself because I want it. Like, this was the thing that I woke up in the morning and I saw this and I was like, oh my God, my hairline's getting worse. And hey man, my hair's thinning out. And I was like 23, 24 and I saw this stuff. So I was like, yeah, it just took a lot out of me to be like, all right, this is going to be the right thing. And then once I did the PRP and I started talking to the people there, and I have like a counselor there, or a hair doctor, counselor guy there. And yeah, he talked me through this, and he showed me multiple pictures of this procedure. And he also, like, what else did he do? He showed me videos, and he told me a lot about his clients that had it done, and he made me feel even more confident than I felt initially going into this. And so once he did that, then it was like, all right, this is going to be an easier decision. So when they called me in May, I was like, yeah, sign me up, And at that point, I knew I was in a position to be able to get this done, which is why I did it. So I hope that answers your question about how difficult was it to get signed up. If you're going to go sign up, it'd be easy. Just go there, talk to the doctors, talk to the professionals, see what they say, see what's right for you. Also, coming out of this, too, I decided to take the finasteride. So I asked them to send me finasteride. It's going to help keep my hair. That thing I talked about in the last episode where I thought it could give you, like, prostate cancer, I think it's like 0.1. It's like 1% of people get it who have history of that. So I don't have history, so I think I'm in the clear. So that's why I'm going to take it. Now, I had someone else DM me about that and be like, I'm glad you decided not to take it. Because of, I forget what they said, but I think this is going to help keep my hair, and the doctors all recommended it there. So I'm going with what they say, especially something that's expensive, and they tell me that something's the right decision. I'm not going to be like, yeah, that's not the right, you know what I mean? I'm going to do what I can so that I can keep their $10,000 procedure. All right, no questions, but just wanted to say appreciate you for sharing this, and super pumped for you. Thank you. Question here, did it hurt? I already answered that in the episode, but no, it did not hurt. I was very lucky. Only the initial injections for the numbing hurt. What did it do? So it fixed my hairline. My hairline used to go really far back, like that, and now it fixed it, brought it forward, and it thickened my hair up here. So it kind of like fixed the problems I was having with my hairline. It fixed my receding hairline, and it fixed my thinning hair up here. So it'll feel good, and I now feel confident about that. And so it also helped my confidence, I guess. I don't know. I guess that's a thing. Someone said, I hope you're feeling okay. Yeah, I'm feeling okay. But something came up. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. And I'm sort of not okay right now. How uncomfortable on average is it throughout the day? Great question. I'm glad you asked that. It's a little weird at first because, like, especially for me, I'm used to having a kind of like a head of hair. So throughout the day, I'm like walking around bald, which I know is a very normal thing. But for me, I'm not used to it. So it's like weird, like going out, being bald like this. I'm like, oh my God, like I don't have hair. Like that freaked me out. So that made it a little bit uncomfortable. But also what made it uncomfortable was just the fact that your head, like, okay, right here, I have this. I'll talk about this. Right here, I have this ice pack, and I have to put it like on my head like this. And it keeps my head, like, you can probably see my head looks right here. You can probably see that little dent looking thing right there and this bump. That's because my head is swollen up. So my head gets swollen up from this. And so, like, throughout the day, I'll feel my head get, like, really tight. Or I'll feel like my head kind of feeling a little tingly a little bit. And they've given me ibuprofen and Tylenol to take. I take ibuprofen once every 8 hours. I take Tylenol once every 4 hours. And it gets uncomfortable once those drugs wear off. So I just take the drugs again, and I feel good. Probably not the best thing to be saying, but it's the truth. So that's uncomfortable, and I'm trying to think what else is uncomfortable about it. I think another thing that's uncomfortable is just the fact that my hair is always like wet because they gave me this spray that I have to put on after the procedure. And so every like 3 to 4 hours after the first 72 hours, I have to spray my hair with this saline solution they gave me. And I go like 1, 2, 3, 4. And so my hair's always like wet. So you know that feeling you just get out of the shower and your hair's wet? My hair feels like that all the time. Like nonstop. with this. And the first 72 hours of this, you have to have a shower cap on. So I had a shower cap on when I came home, and I also had a bandage around my head. And I was able to take that off after day 1. But the shower cap I had to keep on for 3 days to keep it all like moist. Moist is a weird word. Why did I say that? But that's what it did. So that after the first 72 hours, then I was able to take that off. So today's the 4th day, which is why I wanted to film this episode without that on so you guys could see this. So I waited till day 4. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it's weird, like walking around with a shower cap on. That's also an uncomfortable thing because you're walking around with a shower cap. You look like a freaking cook. So that's a little bit uncomfortable. I'm trying to think what else is uncomfortable. This is uncomfortable. So you can't wear anything you have to pull over your head for the first like 7 or 8 days, because if you pull it over your head, you could potentially ruin the grafts they did, and you don't want to do that, obviously. So you have to wear like a button-up shirt. I don't know about anyone else, maybe this is normal for other people. Whenever I wear a button-up shirt, I always wear like another shirt underneath it, because button-up shirts tend to get a little bit itchy for me underneath, and I find myself itching my skin a lot, and I'm currently doing that a lot. I need to stop. So wearing a button-up shirt like directly on my skin, I think that's probably a lot of people probably do that. It's probably normal, but I don't. So that's getting a little bit uncomfortable for me. And I'm wearing a zip-up hoodie, so anything zip-up or button-up you can wear, but anything that's pullover you can't wear. So I cannot wait to wear pullover clothes again. Another thing that's uncomfortable, I cannot shower and pour water over my head like at a shower level for like 8 days or 10 days or something like that. So I have it on the sheet that I'm going to read in a second, and I'll tell you the exact day. But I haven't showered in like 5 days or something like that, 6 days, because you can't. But today was the first day I was able to take a cup of shampoo water and pour it over my head and kind of clean that area out. So each day it's kind of cleaning this area out a little bit more and kind of keeping it clean and keeping it safe. I think there's one more question. I think someone else messaged me here and said, oh yeah, they said, I've wanted to explore getting a transplant but didn't know how effective it is. So as far as how effective it is, this thing is very effective. I think it's like the statistics are like 95% effective or something like that. So yes, it's effective and it's worth getting. Once they do it, as long as you don't mess it up and you follow these instructions after it, you'll be good. If you don't, you deviate and you mess it up, then yeah, it's not going to work. So you have to follow these instructions. Let's see here. So hopefully that answers that question that I got inboxed. Curious how long it lasts. Yeah, so it lasts your whole entire life. Like I said, as long as you follow the instructions, you do it right, and you don't start pulling them out again, you're in good shape. I mean, obviously, I think when you get older, when you get older, you lose your hair anyway. But who knows? Maybe when I'm older, this hair will still be there. Older as in, like, I'm talking about like 80, 90. If we make it there. Let's see. Okay, this is another thing that's kind of to go off the uncomfortable question. Sleeping has been very uncomfortable. Like the first like week after this, you have to sleep at a 30-degree angle. I should have brought this pillow over here with me, but I have this like cheese chunk looking pillow, and I have to sleep at a 30-degree angle. And then they gave me those traveling neck pillows. I have to put that around me to make sure that I don't go like this and sleep on my side or dare to roll on my side. So I've been sleeping, and it's probably normal. A lot of people probably sleep like this already, but I'm not used to it. So I've kind of just been sleeping like this lately. Just so there's a good visual representation of how I've been sleeping. In case you were wondering, but that's been a little bit uncomfortable because, hey man, I've been waking up with just the worst neck pains ever. And that's probably why you've seen me reach back here a couple times throughout the episode, because, whoa, my neck hurts really bad. And so that's probably been a very uncomfortable part about this. Let's see what else is on here. Shampooing, you may shampoo the day after the surgery. A gentle stream of water using a cup to pour over your head. Yep, that's what I mentioned. So icing. I've had to ice my head like 4 or 5 times a day for 20 minutes, just going like this. And that gets a little bit like I can't wait to be over that part. I think I have like a few more days left of doing that. But it's all part of this. It's all of what you got to do. So let's here. This is going to answer a lot of questions for people. Regrowth and development of transplanted hairs. Dormant period. The first 3 to 4 months. Once the hairs have shed, the newly transplanted follicles will go into a resting period before they start to produce hair. This period is usually 3 to 4 months, but in a small percentage of patients, it may extend up to 6 months. It is uncommon to see any regrowth of new hair during this period. At the end of this dormant time, the first of the new hairs begin to appear. So after 3 or 4 months, the new hairs will begin to appear. The emergent period, 4 to 8 months. The new hairs gradually appear during this period. Most patients, by 8 months, 50 to 80% of the hairs have emerged. Maturation period. During this period, patients will have 90 to 100% hair growth. For some patients, it can take up to 12 months for total hair growth. So I will start to see results probably, I assume, in like the 4 to 8 month, probably closer to 8 month period. I'll see the results. My hair's going to start growing in, but I'll probably like see a similar issue there for a little bit until that time. And that's fine. Whatever it takes. Now, this is another important part. It says shock loss. If we have transplanted grafts in the areas where you have thinning hair, you may experience temporary thinning of this hair. Although it's temporary, at times it may be severe and alarming. The use of minoxidil pre- and post-operatively will decrease this loss and hasten the growth, as long as you're not allergic to minoxidil. I'm not allergic to minoxidil. Today was the first day I put minoxidil on my head, and they gave me a bunch of minoxidil, and they gave me some of their shampoo, which is great. So I'll be using that. But no. Today I used baby shampoo. I'll be using baby shampoo until the next like 3 or 4 days, and then I think I can start to use their shampoo as normal. But they want you to use a shampoo that's kind of soft on your head, so you're not like going too crazy or doing anything to ruin the follicles. So what else? What else does it say here? The transplanted area will heal quickly within 2 weeks. So this area will heal within 2 weeks. So it's been 4 days for me. So I got 10 more days left to go. You may experience some dandruff-like scaling, redness, or itching in the form. I do get itching on occasion. That's another thing that's kind of like even back here in the like grafted area. Here, let's show you guys that right now. I'm going to show you the like whole thing. So I know I showed it a little bit earlier, but here's the top of my head. And then here's the side. Okay, now, I don't know if you can see. Here's the back. Okay, and then here's this side. So that's how this looks. This actually doesn't make my head look as big as I thought it was going to be. My head looks giant right now, but not as big as I thought it was going to be. And yes, it's a little bit hard. It was a little bit hard to make this video first, I'm not going to lie, but I feel confident with it. You know what I mean? So, nothing to hide. Let's see here. Let's see what some crazy facts you guys want to know. Sun exposure. Protect the transplanted area with a hat or SPF 45 sunscreen spray when outdoors for more than 5 to 10 minutes. So days 1 to 14. So I can't be exposed to the sun for 14 days unless I do that. But I'm going to try to stay inside. And I have to tell you guys why. I haven't got to some meaty part of this. Hair care. Brushing in the non-grafted area, day 1. Brushing in the grafted area. You can't use a brush till day 7. Intense exercise you can do after day 3. Washing the donor area. So after day 7, I can start like using my fingernails in my hair to start like shampooing normally as people normally do. But this saline spray days 1 to 3. After the 48 hours, spray every 3 to 4 hours during the day until the solution is completely used. You may keep the bottle in the refrigerator and use a chilled spray to relieve any itching. That has been helping with my itching, yes. So that's pretty much the packet. I talked about the medication that I already talked about on here. And yeah, that's pretty much everything in the packet that they give me for the post-op. I feel like I've answered a lot of questions. I'm trying to think if there's any other like things I should tell people that are looking into getting this. Yeah, it's all like at the end of the day too, this is all like a confidence thing. Do it for you. Don't do it because like for other people or because you're like I don't know, even if you're like self-conscious, you're thinking, oh, someone else might, like, don't do it for that reason. Do this because you want it. Because imagine spending that much money just because you think like someone else is going to care about you looking a certain way. If someone is like that bad that they care that much, the person kind of sucks, you know? You probably don't want to be hanging around that person. So, yeah, do it for you. Do it for you. If it helps boost your confidence, do it. Now, this is a big meaty part of this. This is a big meaty part of this I want to get into. So, today's Christmas Eve. And this ties into the hair thing too. But I woke up and then a family member was like, hey, everyone should get tested before everyone comes over tonight. And like rightfully so. And I took an at-home test and it was positive. And I was like, oh my God. But I realized that I touched the little swab thing. So I was like, oh, I messed it up. Let me do it again. And we did it again and it was positive. And I was like, oh no. So with me looking like this for the first time ever today, I had to go out and stand in a line to get COVID tested. All these people. And yeah, there were a couple people looking at me. But I don't care. Do I look like I care? I don't care. I got over it after like 5 minutes. I was like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to stand here. It's fine. And that was my first time in public with it. Luckily, I didn't see anyone I knew. But I also don't care because you all are seeing me now. I don't care. I'm over it at this point. It was a little bit weird. Like I said earlier in this episode, it was a little bit weird at first, but I'm over it. So yeah, I went and got the test, and I was positive. I took that test, and I was positive, and I was like, Jesus. So my best assumption is that I got it from filming at Reggie's the other night. They didn't require vaccine. They didn't require vax cards. They didn't require masks. There was like, I think I was like person 4 in there. No, it was probably like person like 10 in there wearing a mask, including like people in the band and stuff. So it was just like, man, I don't know. I'm not mad at anybody. I'll put it that way. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm just like bummed that I got it at Reggie's. And then I had another friend who I think picked it up from there too, who texted me about it. So I was like, oh my goodness. I don't know if you plan on going there. That's where I got it. Once everything's better, you can go back there. This could also be an outlier. I went to the Beach Bunny show the day before that over at Riviera where there was like 2,500 people. And I was like in the middle of all those people. But I was with a friend. And I was with two friends there. And they might be listening to this episode. But they both tested like negative after it. So my guess, since I was like standing with them or sitting with them like shoulder to shoulder, I'm thinking, well, maybe I tested, maybe since they tested negative, I would have tested negative after it too. I don't know. Maybe it could have been from there too, from Riviera. But a lot of people were wearing masks there. That's the difference. A lot of people wearing masks. I think they checked the vax cards. So, yeah. So I felt more confident about that than I did in the crowded Reggie's with hella people not wearing masks. But if you're asking how I'm feeling, I feel fine. I'm asymptomatic. I can taste, I can smell. I'm fine. It just sucks having COVID. I mean, people have dealt with this, obviously, but 7 days of doing nothing. But I'm headed to Florida here in a couple days. So I'm going to just quarantine out there, stay safe. We're driving. I'm not getting on an airplane, not spreading this. I bought like N95 masks. So I'm going to be wearing that. But yeah, dude, I thought I was going to avoid this freaking thing. I thought I was going to avoid it. And I didn't. I have both vaccines. I have Moderna first one, Moderna second one, and then I have the booster Moderna. So it broke through that. This is like the 5% breakthrough case. So is this Omicron, or you actually don't know which variant is until you have like your blood tested and all that. Until you go to like the actual test, you don't know which variant it is. But I'm gonna assume it might be Omicron that broke through. Just please stay safe. Do what you gotta do to protect others and be safe around others, because it's crazy how fast this is spreading. I was talking to a lot of friends throughout the week who were like, holy cow, man, it's spreading a lot in Chicago. And I was like, oh, I know. So do what you gotta do. If you are in a position that you can stay home right now and you have the choice of going out or not, please stay home. You can go to the bar with your friends at another time when this is going down. But it's crazy. It broke through and I'm totally protected. So at least I feel fine. I think I'll come out of this fine. I can taste. I'm good. So doing fine. But I got the freaking COVID. So that's all I wanted to say about that. Yeah, hey, if you're new here and you enjoyed this, go follow my podcast, subscribe, hit that subscribe button. I also have a main channel I post skate videos to. It's at willmax95 or just willmax95 on YouTube. And I'm Max Williams Video on Instagram if you want to follow me there if you're new here. So appreciate you all listening to this. And I have another episode coming up soon that I filmed before I got this done. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be editing that. You'll see that up here soon. So new episode with a creative coming soon, because that's what we do on this podcast. We have other creatives talk about their outlets. It's a fun thing because it helps inspire other people. Makes them want to go do something cool too. So that's why I do that. But yeah, stay tuned for that episode. And again, appreciate you all. Appreciate all the support. It means freaking so much that people are so supportive of this. If there's any other questions, leave them in the comments, message me. If I need to make another episode talking about this, for sure, I'll do it. Maybe I'll keep you guys updated with like the hair growth. If it like grows in or something, I'll make another episode talking about that. Keep you guys hanging on for the ride, okay? So, again, appreciate you all listening. Talk to you guys later. Bye.